passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nurov in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
Say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, and it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Hello everybody and welcome to Interlagos as we head into the second half of Season 2 in 2024. This is the Radical Race Series and we're back again for another round of racing. 2 races all over again, 10 laps in the sprint race and 16 in the feature during our only visit to South America over the course of this season. It could be though one of 6 visits to the Western Hemisphere for the final half of the season because we're still one to be confirmed race. The other races are in Canada and the United States. It's all very much on this side of the world where we've got some great racetracks and where we've got the ending to our season for the most part. It'll be myself, Ewan, James Parfitt with you for this round of the championship. And well, I say we're looking forward to Interlagos like everybody is. We are, more specifically us two. Not sure everybody is, but we'll find out how many we get tonight and what they think of this great racetrack.
I love this racetrack. I've got to be honest, I really do. Excuse me, sneezing there. Yeah, I think Interlagos is amazing. I just love the flow of Interlagos. I love the way it's got undulation, it's got up and down, it's got everything. And I think it's great, but it seems like some of these drivers didn't like Interlagos this evening.
Yeah, and even the ones that are here, I think, are going to moan at the end.
Probably.
It's very possible. But anyway, I seem to remember that happening at one season ago. Was it last season or the one before? I think we had a fairly recent Interlagos round, and we were like, "This track's amazing," and everyone was like, "That was terrible."
I think it was John McCutcheon who come in and started it off. Was it John McCutcheon or Simon Edwards? I can't remember which one.
Graham Brown saying it.
Yeah, I can't.
Maybe he didn't start it.
I can't remember who it was, anyway. But yeah. There we go. Qualifying is underway.
Yes, that's getting entirely sidetracked already. Qualifying will indeed be underway. The practice session complete with plenty of drivers within a second of pole, actually. Or, well, fastest time, I should say, for practice. That's set by Simon Edwards. Let's have a look at the championship standings, though, and tell you really the context of all of this. James Barry is leading the way ahead of John McCutcheon, and this is with all the drop weeks applied now. 5 points between himself and John McCutcheon, with Luke Maxwell still very much involved, despite being fairly absent in the last few rounds. Mike Bousson is, I would say, quite involved as well. Simon Edwards is one to never be counted out. He is 5th, ahead of Paul LeMay and Paul Clark. George Gonzaga is in 8th place, ahead of Graham Brown, and then Damien G. Jamie Bird is just outside that top 10, with then Paul Crabb and James McRitchie, the final drivers with more than 100 points. It's Phil Jocelyn and Robert Woodward next, ahead of Michael LeMay and Seth Brown, who are tied on 90 points. Phil Glover is in 18th, ahead of Abdul Al-Amri, who hasn't really been here since he won on debut at Rudskogen, not very often anyway. David Beasley rounds out the top 20. James Chapman is here tonight. He's 21st in the standings, ahead of Joseph Emmett. Sergio de la Cruz is down in 23rd, ahead of David Walter, David Ralston, Stuart Geddes and Alan Patterson, who we know doesn't qualify or race, indeed, in this series. But it is very close, and what we normally see in this series is quite a designated few drivers at the top who, we say, these are the championship contenders and these are the ones we'll be focusing on for the title. This season, we're not really getting that. We've got quite even increments of gap down the field all the way through, really.
Yeah, it's been one of the closest seasons I think we've had up till this date. I think it's been bringing a lot more to it. James Barry has really brought his game this season and is on it, and he's going to be definitely one to watch. We just hope he doesn't get that lull and he manages to keep his performance up all the way through the season. There's still options there. Mike Bousson can surprise us and have a good one. Simon Edwards, as we know, could always come through and claim his 7th champion. John McCutcheon could get his 3rd. There's a lot to take out of this season, and I think it's been a fun one for everybody.
I hope so. We've had a lot of fun calling it once again, and we're saying it like it's nearly over. We've still got a very long way to go. Couple of purple sectors coming in as the qualifying times now do finally begin. It's Paul LeMay and Mike Bousson who's sharing them at the moment. LeMay going very quickly here with a purple 2nd and 3rd sector, despite going right behind Simon Edwards.
Yeah, but LeMay's doing a stellar job at the moment. He's on his way. He's going to be green because this is his first lap, so he will be. But let's see how he gets on as he's going up the hill here. see what happens once more. I think it's going to be very close. I think this qualifying could be one of the closest we've seen for a while.
Certainly based on practice, it's going to be quite close, although LeMay wasn't staying to the left-hand side there to cut off the margin as much as possible. Fastest goes Edwards to start with, and LeMay can't quite match. Well, that is interesting. He must have lost quite a bit of time in the last part of that lap there, because he was very quick early on in that lap there. The other, in terms of main contenders, are not really coming up towards the line for the moment, but here come a few more towards the line. Nobody really challenging Simon Edwards just yet. 4 tenths is the margin. This is not the field we saw in qualifying. Now, this is practice, excuse me. This is qualifying, of course, and this is James Barry, who will look to get near Edwards. It's really about those two today. It looks like John McCutcheon and Luke Maxwell may well be absent, although Mike Bousson is here as well. He'll want to mix it with the two of them. Let's see if James Barry's won purple sector so far can maybe carry him towards the 128. Well, the answer to that is no. He goes running right round the outside there through the final corner, which is just a ploy by the drivers to use the slope onto the front straight to try and get a bit of added speed into turn 1.
Yeah, but it jeopardised the lap he was on. I'm a little bit confused. Why?
He must believe he can go better. I don't know. I mean, the first lap was really, very rarely the best anyway, so he thought, well, there's no point me doing as best as I can with this one, because I'm always going to beat it later anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really seen anyone do that, to be honest. But there we go.
It is something done sometimes. It's like a Daytona strategy, isn't it, to run right round the top and then dip down as you start a lap on the road course, or indeed on the oval, to be fair. And it's a strategy that can be used. Edwards goes quicker. John McCutcheon's now finally going to put a time on the board here, and he goes 4th, just in behind Mike Bousson. He'll be pushed down to 5th almost immediately as Seth Brown goes a little bit quicker. Paul Clark moves up to 8th place, just ahead of James Chapman, who goes over the line and doesn't improve by the looks of things. What about James Barry here? He has gone quicker in the first few sectors. George Gonzaga, his teammate, will go over the line and not go any quicker.
Oh, he went 4th.
Oh, he does, excuse me. Very much so. It's so, yeah, very much quicker. 4th place, top 2 rows for him. But what about his teammate? James Barry is the championship contender out of the two of them. Gonzaga is probably already too far away, to be honest. As Barry comes up towards the line now, it's going to be an improvement, as we know.
Oh.
And it's going to be the best time so far. Just 1 purple sector, but that's all that James Barry required.
Yeah, it did. Simon Edwards has got a couple of greens on the board. 3, in fact, compared to where he was. So is he going to be able to get this pole position back? He's about 1/10 out at the moment. So we're going to see what goes on here with Simon Edwards. He's gone over now, past the mid of the boxes, through 14 and 15, now through the left-hander. Coming up over the hill, over the line he goes. What is he going to put on the board? Is Simon Edwards going to get it back? He isn't. A 128.4.
Oh, 87 thousandths away from pole. LeMay doesn't improve. He stays 3rd. McCutcheon's been going slower ever since he got that best first sector, so he'll go slower than his previous best. And this is a bit of a concern for John McCutcheon, down in 7th position with just 3.5 minutes remaining. He's only going to get 2 more laps to try and get himself up the field, and he really has to. He can't afford to stand and start in the midfield here for this race.
No, he needs to be really up the front. He really wants to be getting up there and being within that top 4. But then I'm not, if I'd sat here saying I'm not worried, it's because I generally am not worried about John. I think he can really rack up the pace and he does a great job with it. So although it's a concern probably for him to be down that low, but I think he'll be all right. I have faith.
Yes, we'll see if the faith prolongs. To be honest, over the line for Barry, he can't go any quicker, and not many drivers can here, seemingly. Paul LeMay, the only one with a purple sector at the moment. He's just a few seconds up the road from John McCutcheon here, who's doing a couple of personal bests, and that's a start. But how much quicker can he go, and how many rows can he jump through here? He'll need at least 3 attempts to get onto the inside of the 3rd row and inside the top 5, and he goes wide through the final corner. That may well have ruined this lap and the next one. What a disaster for John McCutcheon.
Yeah, but he can always use that Daytona strategy, can't he, for this lap, if he really wants to try and get some of the pace back. But he's not really going to. Well, probably not as close as he needs to be, but he can crack on and get one more lap in and see how he goes on. What did he get? He didn't really improve. 1:29.041. No major improvement from his last lap, to be fair. So I think he'll go again and he'll bring it. He will. I'm sure. I hope. I think.
Well, it's last chance now. He can't afford to get it wrong again as we're in the final 2 minutes of qualifying now. It's around 90 seconds worth of a lap. So the driver who's just about to come over the line right now is probably the last one who is going to be able to set one more, and that's James Barry, who might well have timed this one perfectly again. Another couple purple sectors. He's keeping to the left-hand side. He knows this is good. He's going to go quicker as well. James Barry goes fastest, and he's put himself now nearly 2 tenths ahead of the field.
Oh, stellar job. Absolutely stellar job from James Barry. As I say, he's been on it this season. He really has. What's Simon Edwards going to do? He's got some greens on the board. He's got to run up the hill. No draft really to help him to speak of. That is Paul Clark in front, but whether or not he's going to be quite close enough is going to be a different story. Not really hugging the wall as what I would have thought he would have done. But he didn't go any faster there, and now we've got the Scotsman and McHutchinson.
Yeah, he's going to have to improve here. Personal best in the second sector, but that is it. Has he been good enough in these sectors to go quicker? He may well have done. Over the line, it is fourth. He has gone a bit quicker, and John McHutchison saves himself from the midfield. He'll be on the front 2 rows, and he must be pleased with that. Couple of improvements coming in here from Damien G, Michael LeMay, George Gonzaga as well. All 3 of them, one after the other. G improves, but doesn't go any position further up. Same for LeMay. What about Gonzaga? He will go up a place. 5th position for him, and that will be the end of the session. John McHutchison saves himself from the depths there. Mike Bousson, unfortunately, is very much in them. He's right in the mid-pack for a championship contender, currently sitting in 4th place in the standings.
Yeah, Mike's going to have to do... he's going to have to do a lot, I think. I think he's going to have to do a lot. He's going to need to try and get that jump right at the beginning if he can, because I think that's going to be vitally important, trying to get these cars off the hill.
Let's see who will do it first. James Barry will do so from the front, ahead of Simon Edwards. Be Paul LeMay and John McHutchison on the second row, ahead of George Gonzaga and Mike Bousson. Seth Brown and Michael LeMay will be next to Paul Clark, and Phil Glover, who qualifies inside the top 10. Damien G and James Chapman just miss out, and that is your 12-car grid. Going to be an interesting race, though, I feel, here. James Barry is a championship leader, of course, 15 points ahead of John McHutchison. Did lose out a little bit last race, but has good drop weeks to fall back on, to a degree, of course. See what he can do here, though, from the championship lead. We know that the second half of the season for him usually is not the best half. Probably better in the first half, but let's see if he can get the second half off to a good start here tonight.
Yeah, he definitely needs to. Definitely needs to. You've got to make sure you can get points on the board. And with this low count grid, there's points up for grabs. And I think he needs to make sure we can wrap them up here and get these right, because I think it's going to be a bit of a tough one otherwise.
On board with Paul LeMay here, who's going to look to launch himself off the line into the lead in towards turn 1 if he can. On the left-hand side of the grid, Mike Bousson and Michael LeMay, are still yet to pull into position. LeMay does so now, and then Mike Bousson will get himself onto the grid for the 10-lap race that we're going to see here in this sprint, the first of the 2. And there he goes, pops himself onto the left-hand side, maybe to assist his teammate, maybe to help himself. Let's see, as the lights come on at Interlagos, the second half of the Radical Race Series season is about to get underway as they pop themselves back over the hill again. Who is going to launch off the line well? And it's James Barry from the lead, but not as good as Simon Edwards, who straight away gets to the lead. Fantastic start from him. It's John McHutchison who's looking for places as well, as Barry gets up the inside into turn 2. Aggressive on the start, but his exit's not very good. And here comes John McHutchison, whose exit is the best of the 3. Maybe he can go for the lead here, from looking like a mid-pack runner up until the end of qualifying. He's going for the lead on the lap 1 of the race here. Into turn 4 he goes. He brakes very late. Far too late for John McHutchison. He goes off the road. He's back on again. He's still in second place.
Yeah, he is, but whether or not he's going to suffer with a slowdown out of that one, that's going to be an interesting one to see, depending on how much time he gained. Mike Buson did not get off the line. He's still in 6th place. You see him there in front of Seth Brown, and the movers and shakers are in the top half. Simon Edwards up 1, McHutchison up 2, and George Gonzaga also up 1 place. But a great start from Simon Edwards. Got it off the line like an absolute rocket, and is now going to try and open up that gap, but he has got the Scotsman of John McHutchison behind him.
And we've seen James Barry, the only one inside the top 4 anyway, to lose positions off the start as well. So that is not good news for him. We've got the top 7 certainly in a draft train at the moment, with Michael LeMay and Paul Clark clinging on to the back of it as well, though it's not really a drafting track, and there aren't many left on this calendar. I was wincing there because thought Simon Edwards was going to drive straight into the wall. He didn't. George Gonzaga goes defensive on Paul LeMay there for 4th place. That's wide from Barry. That's even wider from his teammate. Gonzaga may have been following his teammate there, in fact, and actually loses 1 place to 5th. Booson can't quite capitalise, and he slowed himself to avoid contact. Seth Brown now heads himself to the inside.
Yeah, Seth Brown coming along. We should see Seth. There he is, just about. He slots back in behind him. Buson goes up the inside of Gonzaga. He takes that wider line. Job done for him. So Mike Buson now up 1 place into 5th. It's now going to be what Gonzaga's going to do and what Seth Brown's going to be able to do here, and whether or not Brown can close in. But you can see John McHutchison in the forefront, closing in on Simon Edwards. This section in these radicals it's so painfully slow, because you really want to put the power down and you really want to get on with it, but you just can't. You've got to wait for these cars to grip up. Edwards with a big puff of smoke. He gets it all wrong there, and now he's under attack once more.
Downhill through the left-hander of turn 11, and John McHutchison's on the outside. Now break early and get a late apex here for the run to the straight. He hasn't done that, and they both sent each other almost off the road there. James Barry's down the inside now, and he shoulders his way to the inside on the way through this final corner. He's trying to get to the inside of Edwards as well, who's going to make sure he gets boxed in here. McHutchison makes contact. Barry goes through an impossible gap. He goes through into the middle. He's going to go for the lead here as well to restore that from his pole position in qualifying. Here goes John McHutchison around the outside, 3 wide into the Cellar S. Spectacular racing here on the opening couple of laps, and there's contact now again. Paul LeMay off the road this time. He goes very wide. Now the teammates are side by side as McHutchison and Buson briefly battle it out. What a spectacular moment for the 3 of them, and it's not done yet. Barry and McHutchison again side by side.
Oh, I'm dreading this. They've been hip checking each other. They've been side by side for half a lap. They were barging each other 3 wide down through turn 1, which is never a good idea. And now they've got to make sure they can keep that draft with Simon Edwards, though, because if he gets too far, they're not going to have any. So they're on their run now up into Pico de Palo at the top of the hill, and now the right-hander before they go down into Mugello, down into Juncal. But yeah, that was very close, very scary, and Paul LeMay seemed to have lost out the most out of that one.
Oh, that is a spectacular bit of racing from everybody involved. Absolutely fantastic to watch. James Chapman, unfortunately, has gone back to the pit lane by the way, and Mike Buson goes very wide through the final corner there. George Gonzaga is very close to making his way through. Seth Brown's right there as well, and there's going to be all sorts going on here for 4th place, and Buson knows it. He just pulls to the right hand side here, lets them all through. Down on the inside, Gonzaga, well, maybe he's only going to let one through. It's George Gonzaga who will head himself through, and he is 4th. Buson back to 5th place, but that was a mistake from Buson that opened up the opportunity.
Yeah, Seth Brown's looking at the run as well, if he can get it here. Seth is in that green machine. Is he going to get the inside line? He's not. Is he going to send it in deep? He is, and he's going to make that move there. Past Mike Buson. Buson slots in behind. He's now going to try and come back underneath us here for Buson, and he's going to try and come back up the other side. Nope, covered off by Seth. Not this time around. James Barry closed back up into Simon Edwards. McHutchison's got to get alongside him if he can to make sure that he can stay with these 2 cars in front. It's going to be a freeway fight all the way to the end, I expect.
Yeah, would have thought so, but we said that before. Maybe. Oh, John McHutchison's gone. Where has John McCutcheon gone here? He's not around at least, but he's lost a place. How on earth did he manage that? Because there was no pressure on him at all here. There he is up ahead. Yeah. Unbelievable save. Wow. He was a long way around then and did very well to stop his car from going the whole way around. But he does lose a place and a heap of time as well.
Yeah, he's lost about half a second to the guys in front. He really needs Gonzaga to help him along here, pull this draft as much as he can. Obviously, Gonzaga's going to want to help James Barry at the most here. Gonzaga fastest lap of the race, 1:28.616. Seth Brown making it past Mike Bousson towards the end of the lap. So Seth has got in front of Mike there. But John really needs to start putting the hammer down, start recovering, start getting past Gonzaga. Is he going to make it within 5 laps? I'm not entirely sure, but I know James Barry is not going to give this up. Neither is Seth Brown in the background. Paul LeMay and Mike Bousson as they continue to fight it out on their way through to Interlagos.
Yeah, that's side by side. Oh, side to side here as Seth Brown and Mike Bousson continue to go for it here, and same for third place as well. It's all going on here round the outside through Ferradura for McCutcheon. That's not going to work, and it won't for Brown either, and that allowed Paul LeMay to have a little go into the next corner. Oh, he got his nose chopped off though, and he will have to stay in 7th position. So it's very much distinctive groups now. A pair for the lead, a pair for third, and then a bigger group back for 5th place on backwards.
Yeah, I'm wondering how John McCutcheon is sitting there sweating about now, because he knows he's being held up by Gonzaga. He can see it. He must be able to. He's not crazy. He's not ridiculous. He's not stupid. He knows Gonzaga is holding him up. He's now dropped out to 1.5 seconds, nearly 2 seconds until the leaders. So he's got a bit of a mountain to climb now, but he needs to clear Gonzaga sooner rather than later.
That's his lap of the race from Simon Edwards there, as he continues to pull away from the rest of the field. It's about finishing third for John McCutcheon now, and then executing in the second race. That's the beauty of the series these days. In the past, you would be finished if you were just in this position as John McCutcheon is right now, thinking, well, that's me done for the evening. I can get third, and that's about it. Well, but you got a second chance in the top 10 reverse grid race. Meanwhile, it's side by side again for 6th place, and Paul LeMay is having a go at Seth Brown now. That could allow Mike Bousson to get away here as Brown tries to hold off LeMay. You can't even see him, he's so close behind. Oh, and he gets down the inside in this contact. Brown goes off the road entirely. LeMay tries to save it. It snaps round on him as well. They both end up stationary off the road, and they are both down outside the top 10.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Yeah, there was moving in the braking zone again. Isn't that the 2nd week in a row? Or am I? Didn't that happen at Parfitt?
I think there was, yeah. Was it Seth Brown though? I don't remember.
I thought it was Seth who'd moved twice and got himself collared on the way down to the last corner. Maybe I remember actually. I don't know, but yeah,
I think
there was predominant moving there, Ewan.
There was a bit of moving, but
I think, look, he moves once here, so he comes out there, then Paul LeMay's alongside at that point, and then he comes across on him.
It's a bit reactionary, which I think is the problem there for me. It's never what you want to see, reactionary defending, but it was a very small gap to try and go down the inside of anywhere as well. I don't think Paul LeMay will be doing that again, put it that way, because it was a very small gap and narrow gap down the inside. And the faster the corner as well, the more sort of space you need to deal with those kind of things. And Ferradura is a really fast corner, the fastest on this circuit, in fact. Well, I'm counting real corners, not ones that are just flat out. But it means that you need a bit more space to sort of deal with it. And well, they didn't afford each other that space, unfortunately, so now they're battling for what is actually going to be pole position in the second race.
I think Paul could probably stay where he is, to be fair. He's got that, he'll have that pole position, won't he? You know, Seth's 3.5 seconds back, so it's a big ask for him to get near him. McCutcheon is losing time to George Gonzaga, and that's worrying that he's losing time already. Barry and Edwards now 7, they're on lap 7, we've got 3 to go. Is Barry going to get this, do we think? Could it be the last lap saloon from James Barry?
What's happened here for Michael LeMay as he drops down the order? Paul Clark is promoted up to 6th place as a result as well. This looks like it's going to be alone for LeMay. And into Jun Chao, the final turn. And he's just always sliding from turning there. And Clark does a very good job to avoid him, actually.
He does, yeah, but it's one of them agonisingly slow, painful spins that you really don't want to be happening, but you just can't stop it. That was the problem for Michael LeMay. But no such problems for James Barry or Simon Edwards. Is Barry... He didn't follow Edwards in the draft on the run down the Ret Raposta that last time out. So I'm wondering whether or not he's sitting there waiting maybe to make the move towards the last 2 laps. It's that risky lottery strategy, isn't it?
It's a bit of a risk, I suppose, but see how it goes as we complete the 8th lap of the race. Now, just before this kicks off here, James, I don't know if you saw a photo that was sent in the Discord earlier on by Martina Ward, who I didn't know was having an operative X-ray today, as she called it. I'm sure that's what it is called. And she sent a photo of the X-ray, which is what she describes as a stubborn broken arm. So get well soon to her. I didn't know she'd broken her arm, which is unfortunately why we've not seen her for a while. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to see her for the rest of the season either, because of a broken arm, which, as you may have gathered, it's quite important in sim racing. So get well soon to her. Hopefully we'll see her back next season when that has sort of been operated on properly and all repaired properly, because that, based on the X-ray that we've seen, doesn't look good. So hopefully she gets better soon.
No, that's like 2, 4, 6.
That's what she said earlier. She was like, how many screws are there here?
8. I just feel like they put 8 screws into it by what I can see there, but there we go. Back on to the going to be what will be the final lap. McCutcheon trying to make the move around the outside again of Gonzaga. Oh, well, that was bizarre.
Yeah, John McCutcheon won't be pleased about that at all. Looks like he'll be finishing 5th. By the looks of this, let's see what happened in his battle here. Now, does he do this to himself? Well, I was hearing this, somebody saying this earlier on yesterday about the contact model, and if you hit someone from behind like that, you are likely to be the one that goes around actually in a situation like that mid-corner. So that may be what happens to John McCutcheon there. Looks like top 5 is all he's going to get today. Simon Edwards then is going to get on to the final lap here without being challenged, really, and it makes you wonder whether James Barry has been waiting for this last lap or whether he has not been able to get through on Simon Edwards. Well, he's not able to do it into turn 1, but that's not where it's been ideal to make passes so far. It's been down into turn 4, and he's had a really good run through the centre-S here for the final time in this race. He'll pull to the left-hand side here, get in the slipstream and pull to the outside now into the Desierto del Lago, the 4th corner of this racetrack. He'll brake early, he'll tuck underneath, and he'll try and get the run here, but Simon Edwards was wise to that. He stayed low there and made sure he still held the inside line. He's still clear so he can defend into turn 6 as well, and he's defending through the mid part of the lap again. It looks like he might be on for a win here.
Yeah, but they've still got the run up the hill. That is always the big one, the run up the hill. If James Barry can tuck in and be this close coming out of Jinkao, there's nothing saying he's not going to be able to get the run up the hill. He needs to bury these next section of corners. He needs to make sure he is tucked up as close as he can be to the rear end of Simon Edwards going up this hill. If he wants this draft to play any major part, he needs to carry and maintain. And he's done just about that. This is it, Ewan. This is the run to the line.
Well, has he got enough speed here to overhaul Simon Edwards to the line now? I'm not sure he does, but his line was slightly compromised into the final corner, and that's done for him here a little bit. Simon Edwards is going to win the race by a small margin in the end, but he will take it just ahead of James Barry, and it will be a double podium for the team as well, as George Gonzaga finishes 3rd just ahead of Mike Boosen. It looks like that's going to be it in terms of fights as well. As Paul LeMay catches and passes Phil Glover, they'll be sharing the front row for the second race.
Paul LeMay will be on pole. That's going to be an interesting situation. Never done really overly well when it comes to getting these SR10s off pole position. I'm sure he can get it. He'll be all right.
I hope so. Remember that Road America race where he caused carnage?
And it was, and at Sebring as well. Remember, he just didn't get off the line, did he?
I only remember the Road America one, actually, but there we go.
Well, either one, man.
Sorry, Phil.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's have a look at the race results after 10 laps of racing. And it's Simon Edwards who has taken the win by just over a tenth and a quarter, a tenth and a third in the end, ahead of James Barry. George Gonzaga held off Mike Bousson there. John McCutson's late spin means he finishes only fifth, ahead of Paul Clark. Michael LeMay and Damien G finishes just ahead of Paul LeMay and Phil Glover, with Seth Brown and James Chapman the final drivers in the field today. So that will mean the top 10 will be reversed, and we will get themselves ready for a 16-lap race to come. And a little bit concerned about what we just saw from James Barry there in some ways. Does that mean it's going to be a difficult one to overtake for some drivers here today, or is it a classic case of Simon Edwards putting less downforce on than the rest of the field?
To be honest, it could be both. I think the less downforce is a definitive yes. He would always do that. The overtaking can be tricky, but you've got to really make sure you're close enough coming out of 1 to get it into 4, to get that overtake done, to come out of 12 to get it on the run to the line, down into 1. There's all of these little nuances that you've got to make sure you're hitting to make sure the draft works. And if you're not hitting them, then you struggle. And you saw James Barry just got a little bit compromised on the exit out of Juncal last time out and didn't get close enough to the run up into the line.
Yeah, I really don't think you can leave it to the last lap here, to be honest with you.
No, it's a lottery.
He gave, yeah, well, I suppose that is a good way of putting it, because you haven't got a very good chance of winning a lottery. But yeah, I don't know. It's turn 1 and turn 4 where you want to make moves, really. You can't quite do it before the line unless there's a mistake ahead. We'll see what the second race brings, though, with Phil Glover from the front ahead of Paul LeMay. Be Damien G and Michael LeMay on the second row ahead of Paul Clark and John McCutson, who will certainly be one of those looking to win from 6th, although we probably have to worry about Paul LeMay along the way. Mike Bousson and George Gonzaga will be next ahead of James Barry and Simon Edwards. Then Seth Brown and James Chapman, the only ones to not benefit from the reverse grid today, will start on the back row together. We'll get them all gridded up and underway. I think Paul LeMay is probably going to be considered the favourite for this one, to be honest, but John McCutson will look to win. In fact, all of the top 10 probably will look to find their way through and win, because it is a circuit where you can overtake.
Yeah, it is, and I think they will try and do that, but the lights are on now.
Yes, it's a quick gridding up process, and we're ready to go again for race 2 here at Interlagos. And it's a very good start in the background already from not only John McCutson but James Barry as well, as they all crowd down in towards turn number 1. McCutcheon's already third. Great start from him as Phil Glover goes wide to give the space to LeMay, who go tight at turn 2. That will give McCutcheon the idea to go around the outside, but he's already been pushed away by Paul LeMay, who goes to the outside now. Here goes McCutcheon. He will go free wide now to the very inside, and he looks for the lead already from 5th position. In one sector, he makes up 4 places, and John McCutcheon already leads.
Yeah, he's got out in front. He got an absolutely barnstorming start, did, to John McCutcheon, and has pulled away. Phil Glover didn't really get it off the line. Little nudge from Paul LeMay there. Oh. And unfortunately, Phil's gone off the side. He's coming back on. But we've got a LeMay 1-2. We've got Seth Brown and Paul Clark. They're having a little bit of a ding-dong at the back of the field there. And unfortunately, they have both gone off at the side of the circuit. So Seth Brown on the inside, Paul Clark on the outside. Oh.
That wasn't good. I was initially going to blame Seth Brown for that, but I only saw the second half. I think there was a bit of contact that neither of them really had much part in that. And so, oh dear, Phil Glover's off the road and I'm afraid goes down to 12th place. Let's see what happened to him. He was just with Mike Bousson, who's just ahead of him. Did he get rear-ended or does he do it to himself? He's going to get hit there. That was quite rude. That was James Barry, was it, down the inside there?
Yeah, that was the purple. So that was James Barry, unfortunately. I think him and Phil Glover had contact. Michael LeMay has got Simon Edwards alongside him. He's making Edwards go the long way. Oh, he's gone and got it wrong. Michael. No, Mikey, no. And unfortunately, Michael LeMay, sorry, I couldn't resist. Michael LeMay has missed out there. Mike Bousson got through with George Gonzaga closing it as well.
And the other Mike goes through instead into 4th place. Gonzaga is not going to get the benefit of the slipstream. Mike Bousson doesn't want him to follow through, clearly. He wants him to make his own move, but the extra speed has sent LeMay wide into turn 4, and George Gonzaga cuts underneath and goes straight back through anyway into 5th position. To Michael LeMay, then James Barry, who might find himself in trouble after the race for that bit of contact that we saw at the Pico de Pato, turn 10. But it's still John McCutcheon leading after a fantastic start. Up 4 positions on the opening lap and still leads ahead of Paul LeMay. Then Simon Edwards, who very much has a chance to win here too, but more than anything else, he's got the chance for the 2nd week in a row to score the most points out of anybody. And once again, just begin to bring down that championship margin, which still, between himself and James Barry, stands at a whopping 40 points.
It's a lot. James Barry knows he needs to get on with it, but he probably didn't need to get on with it in the back of Phil Glover. I can tell you that one as well. Sim Gamer Nerd, getting home too late to join this for a 2nd time. Who is Sim Gamer Nerd?
Is it Abdul Al-Amri? I've not seen him very often, more than once or twice.
I don't know. And then we've got Jedi Messiah. JP rights are for losers. Don't watch me on road courses. Hey, they're not always, You can go right sometimes, can't you?
I guess so. Not around here.
No.
Not very often.
No.
About twice? Anyway.
Yes, twice.
Down the inside.
No, 3 times. 3 times. Pico de Pato up into SA and then coming out the centre S's.
Yeah, well, that's in that case a few more, but let's not worry about that. Through goes George Gonzaga on Mike Bousson for 4th place, and that might be the limit for these guys, to be honest, in terms of this battle here, although a fairly large group. James Barry will look to work his way through on all of these guys. I think the concern for Barry, though, at least if I was him, is the gap to the podium places. Is the current situation already resigning him to being off the podium by the end of the day? At the moment, I think it may be.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a trouble here. He's got some quick guys in front of him, and I think that's the problem. He's got Michael LeMay, you've got Mike Bousson, you've got his teammate as well. So I think for him, he's got to be very, very careful and do it a little bit cleaner. Although the stewards we haven't seen much coming out the stewards, I'm sure they're still there in the background.
Here we go, down the inside. Oh, Barry can't quite get down the inside of LeMay, although he'll invite him down the inside almost by going wide. He's got to be careful to not rear-end LeMay there. He'll find himself in even more trouble and may be damaged if he does that, so he'll have to be careful. In the slipstream now, tucking in, looking maybe to the inside through turn 4 here, and he will get it. No, LeMay tried to brake late to stop him from losing place. In realising that he was going to rear-end Mike Bousson, he got himself into the grass, decided to go straight on instead of ruining Bousson's race, and ends up putting himself down in 7th.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a weird one, isn't it, really, when we look at it here. Oh, it's just after the effect. I can't quite get to the... let's see if we can get back and get...
In the grass, was he? He just broke late. Way too late.
Yeah, it just looks like he's done it late, but then again, that's not the first time he's done that. So I'm a little bit... yeah, Mike's got to just chill out a little bit. Paul LeMay has closed up onto John McCutcheon. I thought it was you, Mr. Taylor. Welcome in, buddy. Hope you are well. And thank you so much for coming to watch us radical action here this evening. We have got NASCARs later on if you want to come and watch that again, mate. We're going to do something you do enjoy. But Paul LeMay closing the gap on John McCutcheon now. Is John... It was around about this time in the first race that he couldn't close up to Gonzaga in front. I'm wondering, is he roasting tyres this point of the circuit?
Really know, to be honest. Really don't know what's going on here. It can get very warm. That's too small for me to read.
32 degrees.
Oh, 32, there you go. I squinted and I did eventually get there. I'm not quite losing my eyesight just yet, but I was just too far away from the screen. Need to get a bit closer. Am I getting old?
Yes.
Oh, thanks. Anyway, it looks like it will be a battle between the two of them, though, doesn't it? I thought after actually the first lap that Kutsson would just run away with the rest of the race and lead every single lap and dominate, really. But that's not going to be the case here. Looks like it's going to be a fight between himself and Paul Lemay. It looks like if they do that, then Simon Edwards will start to close in as well, and all of a sudden it's a 3-car battle, and then all of a sudden we really do have a conversation for this race win.
Yeah, I think we're going to anyway. I think we may see Paul Lemay. That time's going to come down now. You can see the draft is already taken to an effect, right? He's down to 4 tenths, 4.5, 4.3 there. He's just got to tuck in a little bit more. As soon as he tucks in enough, here it comes down now rapidly. 3-1. Edwards, this is where Edwards loses time because he cannot keep up with the guys in front. Why they've both got the draft, and especially Paul Lemay. So Edwards can claw it back during the lap itself, but he loses it coming out the final corner on the run up through Jean-Cal because that draft is so strong, and it's going to be a catch-22 for Edwards. He's got to go, in layman's terms, he's got to go faster. That's the question, to try and close up to him.
Yeah, it's Paul Clark and Seth Brown who were exchanging places on that lap, by the way, and they still are on the way towards turn 4 actually. Clark trying to be as difficult to overtake as ever, and he's got the straight line speed to go with it too. Seth Brown down the inside though, and will make it through into 9th. I thought his line there would just set him up for failure on the exit, but it certainly doesn't. He stays in that 9th position, and that looks like a battle settled for the moment. He feel very much spread out though, other than the leaders and a few other battles going on. James Barry still trying to find his way through the field as well. I think is going to be some of the primary entertainment for the remainder of this race. Still 10 laps to go at the line. Plenty of time for Barry to get these couple of places and maybe even onto the podium, although that's seeming a stretch at this stage.
But he has got in front of him Mike Bousson. So depending on how difficult Bousson wants to make this, because obviously being teammates with John McHutchinson, and they end up obviously, you know, John sitting in 2nd in the championship. Can Bousson play a part, hold off just a little bit? Well, we're going to see, aren't we?
We certainly are. Into the first few turns for these guys again. James Barry, who's very much the closest to the driver in front as of right now, out of turn 3. There you go, and be tucked right in the slipstream of Mike Bousson on the way towards turn 4, but still got a couple of laps yet to work on this one. He needs a lap or two more just to get a bit closer, then he can start thinking about moves. But again, he wasn't quick at getting through on Simon Edwards, and eventually didn't get through and couldn't when I really thought he would have done. And well, James Barry, I'm afraid, is starting to bring into question just how quick that car is, maybe in a straight line, and just maybe how he can get through on those ahead, because at the moment it's seeming a bit overly tricky for him.
Yeah, Gonzaga's another one that could play a part here. Gonzaga could help Barry, Bousson could help McHutchinson. So if Bousson doesn't want to get near Gonzaga, he can just hold Barry off a little bit. Gonzaga then's got to slow down, which would jeopardize his race to Simon Edwards, which I think he's going to struggle to get here. So there's a lot of tacticals that could come into this at the moment, and it's whether or not they really start playing them out. You know, is Bousson purposely holding Barry back? Is he purposely not getting near Gonzaga? Is Gonzaga trying to play a number on him? You know, there's a lot of ebbing and flowing that could go on here.
There is a lot of ebb and flow in this battle at the moment, but let's see if Barry can get in on this. The other problem he's got is that Bousson's got slipstream from Gonzaga, so that's not going to help either. The three of them will continue to run around together, and look at that, Barry is not getting any closer at all, even in the slipstream here to Bousson. And in that sense, it does make you wonder what he's going to do. Well, he could wait for a mistake, and there was one there from Bousson. That's just allowed him to get that little bit closer here, James Barry, and the pressure will really start to mount now in this battle for 5th place.
Bousson, one simple mistake, that's all it cost him. He's held the position, which is great, but he can't afford to do that again. Barry's not going to give him a second opportunity. Now Buson's got to think, what have I done here? Have I cooked up the tyres that have obviously taken a bit of a beating from me going round? Or now do I settle down? As there's somebody off the side of the circuit. I think that's poor old James Chapman having a bit of a rough one this evening. So for Barry, is it Glover? Oh, it is Glover.
Phil Glover, yeah. James Chapman already, unfortunately, has retired from the race. So what happened to Glover?
He just
pulled off the road. He just wanted to get out of the way of it, really. So fair enough to Phil, who continues in the race. As we go on board with James Barry, well, he's still, despite being so close to boosting through the lap, it doesn't matter if you're slow on the straight line, you're just never going to get ahead of them. And it's all well and good being fast in qualifying, but when you have to work your way through the field, the lack of straight line speed is going to hurt you, and it's hurting Barry right now.
Yeah, he's just got no pull. He has literally got no pull because Buson's got the pull from Gonzaga. And that's the thing. Mike's, on the brakes, he's settling it all up here. He's doing a stellar job. And he's just not allowing Barry to get closer. The only thing that really Barry could rely on is Gonzaga bringing Buson back to him. Oh, George, that's not going to help. He can bring him back to him, but is Gonzaga really going to want that? Because if he gets jumped by Buson, that entire plan's gone out the window.
Oh, yeah, I just struggle to see where this battle's going to change. Let's see about these two. I think Simon Edwards might have an easier time of getting through on Paul de May here, to be honest. He seems to have better straight line speed, although maybe that was just in comparison to Barry. Earlier on, of course, when he was able to hold on for that sprint race victory for the second week in a row up over the curb. And that's the problem as well. If the exit from the final corner is not going to be good enough here for Barry, then he's not going to be able to get close enough either. Now, if you look at the relative on the left-hand side, it's really not getting much closer at all. 3.5 tenths, it's hovering, and getting no closer at all. In fact, it's getting further away. Certainly not the same for Simon Edwards, who got right up close to LeMay there, although I guess Barry did too, braking late. Here goes Edwards, narrower line through turn 3. LeMay really skating through the turn almost, running out a bit wide, half defensive. He doesn't need to defend because Edwards is not close enough.
No, James Barry is definitely not close enough. So, unfortunately for James Barry, he must have lost time going through the centre S's because he definitely was not close enough on that run down. The Red Aposto coming into the left-hander at the base there that we've just seen him not get right. Up into Ferradura we go, and he's still not really closing up. Well, we could see a stalemate. They could just finish where they are right now.
Well, maybe, but I do doubt it, although the only things I've said in the last few laps have been retaining the stalemate between these, I suppose, but let's see if that continues for the remaining 6 laps. That's what we've got remaining at the end of this one. As we go past the sprint race distance, we push on for another 60% as we go towards the feature race. That was a better exit from James Barry, and a bad one, perhaps more importantly, from Mike Buson just up ahead. He's still got the slipstream of Gonzaga to help him, which is not going to be particularly ideal for Barry, as Simon Edwards goes for second place. Down the inside of Paul LeMay into turn 1. In the end, LeMay seemed to give that one over. It was a bit easy for the 6-time champion.
Yeah, it was. There wasn't really much of a fight there from Paul. I would expect him to drive a little bit more defensively, and he kind of didn't. Buson's now got to be making a decision. He's either got to go and get past Gonzaga, or he's got to stay where you are and do a great job at holding up Barry, because every bit of help that John McCutcheon can get from this will be beneficial in the standings. For me, I'm not really sure what I would do, to be honest. I don't know if I would spend more time holding him up.
It was very close as Barry looks again to the inside here for Buson, who will be thinking about his own interests here as well, of course. Came into the day 34 points off the championship lead. Simon Edwards came into today 40 off as outside line for Barry. I think he grabbed a bit of the grass there on the way towards the Pico de Pato, and unfortunately it goes a bit wide. He won't be able to work his way through there at all. He's ruined a great opportunity as Mike Buson got very close to George Gonzaga there on the way towards Ferradura. Barry couldn't capitalise even on that.
No, he couldn't, but he's now got to try and use this draft again to get right up behind these two. And you can see Buson's doing exactly the same thing with Gonzaga. He's using him to move his way forward. Through the center S they go. Now they're going to come out the other side. Yay. That was close. Seth Brown is also very close here.
Whoa!
That close.
Wow. That could have been disaster. And Seth Brown, I think they both realised, they both broke early into turn one. They're thinking, goodness me, what did we nearly just do there? And Seth Brown takes 7th place ahead of Michael LeMay. Damien G and Paul Clark are not too far behind as Mike Booston goes through. It looks like finally George Gonzaga's been overhauled here. To be fair, he didn't look like the one under pressure, but over these last couple of laps, his run out of turn 4 and 5 hasn't been good enough. And through goes Mike Booston. Now the two teammates are stacked up behind 4th place.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he made a mistake. Oh, he did. He was a bit wide and a bit slow. And that allowed Booston to get the jump as he's come up now. Taking that outside line, did manage to get the job done, and a great run from Mike. That moves Mike up into 4th. And at the moment, while James Barry's down there, John McCutcheon's in the lead. Mike's doing a great job of doing John a favour here.
Oh, he is. See how much that's going to pay dividends at the end of the day.
Oh, no. What did you two do?
It's Damien G who we're following. Trying to take Paul Clark down the inside. Well, he realises his mistake and lets him back through.
Yeah, it does. And Gonzaga has just cleared Bousson while we were looking at that incident. So Gonzaga's just got past Mike Bousson again on the run down into the centre S's. Now what's Bousson going to do? He's either got to block off Barry or attack Gonzaga. And at the moment, he's trying to do both, but concentrate on doing one, I think, for Mike. I wouldn't really recommend trying to do both at the same time. He's only got 3 laps remaining.
Yes, and he's looking to the outside again at Ferradura. Going to try and keep Gonzaga to the inside as much as he possibly can, and so they can't go around the outside anyway. He'll have another look up the inside, can't do it. As things stand, by the way, Simon Edwards would cut off more than a quarter of his disadvantage to James Barry, who again has not really had a fantastic day here at Interlagos. Didn't have a brilliant one at Bathurst either. It feels very similar this event actually to the one at Bathurst, because Simon Edwards has won the sprint race and is on course to finish second right now in the feature, and James Barry has lost points to him again and lost points to a couple of his rivals, including John McCutcheon, who's going to get a bit closer as well, although not by very much. He is going to get a little bit closer all over again. So this week feels a bit similar to last week actually, and James Barry's lead is just being chipped away at by those behind.
Yeah, is this that dwindle Tottenham Hotspur Christmas period where they dull and they all get it wrong? Is this it for James Barry? Is this the lull that we're going to see? And then hopefully by the next round we should see a little bit more resurgence.
Oh,
Bousson! No, Mike.
Oh, whoa, he saves it from going in the wall, but goodness me, that'll be the end of his top 5 in this race. Mike Bousson drops down to 6th place, and that will be that. It's a bit of a miracle he didn't spin round entirely, actually.
Yeah, I can't work out. Oh, he's hit the curb. If you look at his exit, if you look at his exit, he's only gone and hit the curb, hasn't he, coming out of the centre S's. And then you watch his rear right, it bounces the inside curb here, and then it just unsettles him just there, and unfortunately he ends up going round. So there we go.
Previous lap.
Shh. There we go.
There we go. Ah, that's what we meant to see.
Yes.
It looks identical, doesn't it? With them all in the same.
Yes, it did actually.
Place. But that was the sort of stalemate of the battle, though, wasn't it? It was just happening time after time. We didn't question it because that's what we've been watching for the last 10 laps. Those three trailing one another and not attempting to overtake very often either. Now, what about the teammates here? Are they going to allow the championship leader to salvage what he can from the day and get another couple of points? With George Gonzaga pulling out the way, it looks like that will be the case as Barry gets the slipstream here. Gonzaga stays to the inside line here, but stays a long way to the inside. Barry squeezes him somewhat. Will break later. Well, there is a bit of a battle going on between them, but they won't want to fight with one another or make contact at least. Well, James Barry does find his way through now, but that was certainly not a giving over of the position. They certainly are fighting here.
Yeah, and I hope they can get in behind him, George. Come on, son. Oh, he's not going to. George is too nice. He's too nice. I was very surprised if he even tries to muster up anything here. But let's have a look. Barry's got to cover him off. Okay. We're getting spicy. We're getting into the kind of, not quite Vindaloo yet. We're almost there, though. Can Barry and Gonzaga continue this, or will they back off as they're going to be coming over the last lap very, very shortly?
It is going to be the last lap, and it's going to be one last chance for George Gonzaga to find his way through. Going to be one more chance for Paul LeMay to find his way through too, by the way, as he tries to overtake Simon Edwards for second position in the field. One last lap, though, as well for John McCutcheon, who's going to take another feature race win in the Radical Race Series. That will be his second of the season, to give him tied most with James Barry, who got his first two, of course, both in the quick succession, actually, at the start of the season. The white flag will be out, and it will be one more time round for McCutcheon. Edwards is going to take second, I think, here, pretty comfortably. But what about Gonzaga? Wow! He tried to go down the inside there. That wasn't going to work. And he's forced to the outside of James Barry here. He's not going to go right round there because he's wanting the run for turn 4. They won't want to bobble over the curb like Mike Poussin, as Gonzaga got the good enough run here for fourth place.
He's trying. We'll give him that. He is trying. Is he going to get it through? That's going to be the question. No, not this time. Is he going to get it back on the other side? There's Barry there. Gonzaga's on the outside. Is he going to be able to make it through? He's not. He's given Barry loads of room there. Absolutely loads, didn't he? Yeah.
That's what that is.
He literally gave him like
teammates.
Yeah, massive amount of room. That wouldn't have been given if that was somebody else. I can tell you that much.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. But that's going to continue on. What about the big cutter, Pato? No, he's tried to force himself down the inside. Can't do it. And John McCutcheon is going to be the one we focus on, because it's another race win, a feature race win for the second time this season, as he vaults himself into championship contention again. More points gained on James Barry here today, although the gap between them still relatively small. John McCutcheon wins at Interlagos. Simon.
Oh, George.
The pit wall narrowly. He'll go over the line. Oh, it's close, but he doesn't quite take it, and the championship leader finishes fourth.
Damn. Did he lift there?
I wouldn't have thought so. Well, it was certainly a good run for Gonzaga on the front straight. Now, let's see. This is scary, by the way, but let's listen in. No, he doesn't lift off until after the line there. Don't forget, the line is slightly before the bridge there, and the line is not where they start, whatever reason, on the starting grid. It's not a start-finish line, it's a start line and a finish line. They're separate here at Interlagos, as it is the case, I think, at a few circuits, most circuits in fact. But there you see the checkered flag line, if you like. And there you can see the start line, just a couple of rows, 4 grid slots in front of it. So Gonzaga lifted off just after the line and misses out. But it's John McCutcheon who wins. Simon Edwards just holds off Paul LeMay there for second place, ahead of James Barry and George Gonzaga, as we were talking about, inside the top 5. Mike Poussin finished his 6th, ahead of Seth Brown, who got past Michael LeMay. Paul Clark got past Damien G there for a top 10. Phil Glover finished 1 lap down. James Chapman finished many down after retiring early on. Well, that was an interesting second race, but only one winner in the end, in the form of John McCutcheon. Once again, we're going to try and do it in reverse order, since he's sat there waiting for us, and we so often keep him waiting. Phil Glover now joins us, and hopefully we're not playing by his feet here today, as I don't believe we are. As he told me earlier, we're not.
I'm still out on track. I'm just doing my 16 laps.
Okay, we're doing a fun. Oh yeah, here we go. Got you on screen. But how did that second race go for you? I mean, I know that starting the race from the very front and starting on pole has never brought you great luck. To be honest, Phil, how was it on this occasion?
No, well, the two guys I knew would come past pretty quickly. I think it was John and probably Paul LeMay, wasn't it? But yeah, a bit later on, I ended up getting a Brazilian from the behind by somebody, which wasn't
I think
very
it was-
pleasant. But
It was George, actually, George Gonzaga, who did it,
Was
actually.
it?
Barry.
Yeah.
Barry.
Oh, Barry, excuse me, it's the other teammate, yeah, sorry. Got them mixed
James,
up.
yeah.
There's
So
Barry, yeah.
I guess that, well, I just thought, I slowed down. Then I went in the pits to get a repair, stopped in the pits, and then after a few minutes realised I wasn't getting the repair, and that's because I hadn't pulled up to my pit box. But I couldn't see the pit box because I was right at the front, wasn't I? So anyway, that lost a bit of time, and then I've just playing around, to be honest, after that.
How did you find this circuit? Me and James obviously really enjoy watching racing around here, but I remember last time not many people enjoyed it. What about your thoughts on this circuit?
Yeah, I don't mind it too much. I find it really difficult in these, if you're watching the screen now, these tight bends, this left one particularly here. It's so easy to spin up either on the entry or the exit to that one. This one's not too bad. Hook it in right. And then this one's all about balls and having your foot continuing on the throttle, which very often I can't. And this is probably the most difficult one because it's so easy to end up drifting too wide. Yeah, and the rest is just an uphill slog really till you get to the line, cutting this one. So yeah, I hope that was interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to get a driver's view of what this circuit is like. What about Mosport when we head there in 1 week's time, the Canadian Motorsport Park?
That's probably my favourite track. So apart from obviously the one that James likes to watch me on, Road America, isn't it?
Yep.
I don't know. It's
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Mosport. It should be good fun, hopefully, provided I can keep it on the track.
Well, that's going to be the key for everyone, isn't it? It's going to be really difficult to do so. We look forward to seeing you there, Phil. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
The people that put fuel in, because obviously they've given me plenty of fuel, allow me to drive around and enjoy myself. So there you go.
Absolutely. Great to have interview someone while they're still going. Which
After
is
the race.
nice. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I'm likely
thanks
to
very much.
win this cool down, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how long you'll be left there if you just keep going.
I don't know how much fuel I've got. Let's have a look. I've got 2.8 litres left.
Oh, right, okay. Not too much further then. But no, thanks very much, Phil, for coming to chat to us again after the
you're
race, and we'll
welcome.
see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, guys. Bye.
Thanks very much. Phil Glover there chatting to us at the end of tonight's racing. But now we'll go up to the driver who's scored the most points for the second week in a row during each of our rounds. It's Simon Edwards, who is now chatting to us. Congratulations, Simon, on another double podium. How was the racing here tonight? And let's start with the first race in particular in terms of the racing. Were you expecting James Barry to give you more of a sort of wheel-to-wheel threat in that first race than he actually did?
Yes, but I'd also set the car up so that I could do the last section before the straight better than most. so they were having to work harder to get to me. I think that saved me really, and just staying focused on that part of the track.
Is that what it was all about here? Because we saw a lot of people sort of focusing on the very final corner and people trying too hard almost through that final corner. But for you, is it about actually that section just beforehand and not leaving it all to that run off of the final turn?
Yes. Plus, I could take a very tight line out of it and get to the first apex, which most people miss on the bendy straight following, and that saves you quite. You can get a quarter of a car's distance from somebody following the normal line there if you can do that. It's an old Skip Barber trick. I was just using all my Skip Barber knowledge around this track, to be honest with you.
It's a great Skip Barber track from memory from back in the day. Unfortunately, necessarily much of a thing anymore, but a great car nevertheless. What about race 2 there? You were in second place for a while, and you got there relatively early on in the race as well. I guess it was always going to be difficult to catch John when he was in the lead after the first sector, after a remarkable start from himself.
Yes, I thought I could actually just creep up on him, but I burned the rears out. So I was more worried about Paul towards the last sort of 4 or 5 laps. I didn't have any more pace to get to John then. So I was just hoping to finish second, really. At that point, I was a bit boring, but yeah, sorry.
I mean, it's a good result nevertheless. Another 60 points to your tally as well. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Simon, before we let you go?
I'll give a shout out to Martina with a badly broken arm. She's put an X-ray up on our forum to how much work she's had done, and her arm was very broken. So she must have been miserable with that. So I'm gonna give it to Martina. She's still admin in the league and everything. So, and I hope she can come back soon when her screws come out her arm.
So absolutely, yeah. Hopefully she is back on the grid soon, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it will be this season based on the images we received earlier on today. So hopefully she will get better soon. Simon, thanks very much for coming to chat to us again, and congratulations on a double podium tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Simon Edwards there, the race 1 winner. Let's bring in race 2 winner, John McCutcheon, straight afterwards as well. Welcome in, John. Good to have you with us again. Race 2 winner, but it was really all at the start where the race, I don't want to say the race was won, because that makes it sound like you didn't do anything for the 16 2/3 laps afterwards. But tell us about that opening lap, because I wasn't expecting to see you in first after seeing you starting from 5th.
No, I got a good start. For a change, a really good start. I was P1, almost going into turn 1 by the looks of it. Just held it on the inside. Managed to sneak away and get the win.
Surprised to hear you say that in some ways, because it feels like people who drive certain cars as much as obviously you guys do in the Radicals and other people in other cars sort of get a sort of trick, if you like, for getting the cars off the line, especially in standing start series where you have to do this kind of thing very regularly. Is this still one of those cars where you're not quite sure, or you don't have a designated method for actually getting the car off the line well every time? It's sort of a lottery almost still.
No, I seem to have a little consistency now, but I could still burn up the rears quite easy, and then loop it and cause chaos. But I just keep the revs low as I can and just dump the clutch, basically.
We'll reduce the championship margin slightly to James Barry. How are you feeling about, I guess mainly the final 5 races, but let's talk first about the next week's race, which is at Mosport. How are you going to go around there?
Yeah, good. Like Mosport, a lot of fun track. A lot of down into the hairpins, a lot of fun usually. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, we certainly are. Is there anyone I'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I shout out to George because I think I gave him a bit of abuse that wasn't deserved during the race there. So apologies to him.
What did you do?
Oh, nothing. I was just frustrated from the opening lap.
John McCutcheon, you losing your temper. What a surprise.
I've already had that off Mike Boosson. Leave me alone.
Oh dear. We're adding to it. Sorry about that. Congratulations on the second race win though tonight, John, and thanks very much for coming to chat to us as well.
Thanks, Ewan. Cheers, mate.
Thanks very much. Cheers. We'll get him out before he abuses us.
Quick.
Anyway, I'm joking, of course. Round 7 at Interlagos, though, is complete. 5 rounds to go of the Radical Race Series, and we're shaping up for a really good season finale, I feel. I fear, though, that we've lost Luke Maxwell from the fray after this round. He's not been here for quite some time now, and will probably drop away from third. But it may well be James Barry, John McCutcheon, and Simon Edwards, all with a shout going into these final rounds.
Yeah, we're still up for it. I think it's still going to be interesting, and I think we're still in for excitement. And my spot next week, oh man, that's going to be spicier than a Vindaloo. I can feel it now.
We really do enjoy Mosport, and hopefully you will join us to enjoy it with us. Thanks very much to everyone who's been tuned in here tonight for another round of the Radical Race Series. Still 5 to go, and so make sure you subscribe to the JPB YouTube channel to catch all of the remaining races. I've been Ewan Larry there alongside James Parfitt, and until we see you in 1 week's time over in Canada, it's goodbye for now.
Jungle.